Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Unboxed, the podcast where we unravel the heart and soul of branding, marketing, technology, and everything else. I'm your host, AJ, and today I have with me Sharif Ataya, and he's actually coming from the corporate sector, finance, fintech space, but he is also an entrepreneur. He is currently working on a very exciting new solution that is going to, let's say, revolutionize the way we look at credit industry. His mission is to solve a number of problems in the financial sector space because he's been working in this industry for the past 16 years, right from NASDAQ to Alliance, and right now he's the regional director of trade credit with Malakut Insurance Brokers. Thank you, Sharif. Thank you for being part of the show.
Thank you for having me.
I just firstly, this is, like I said, like I discussed before we got onto this, it is not, for a general audience, this is a very complex topic, so I think we need to break it down, bite-sized pieces, because most of our listeners are entrepreneurs or, looking to fill in a gap or a space. And looking at you and working with you as well, you have been on both sides. So right from the corporate sector to, running a couple of businesses and so on. So I just want to understand your journey in the fintech industry and what inspired you to join the fintech space in the first place, and how has your experience, you have a vast experience of 16 years in the industry, how has that shaped things over the past years?
I'd say I started my career at the NASDAQ. At the time it was called the Dubai International Financial Exchange. And honestly, it was about the money. 2007. I mean, it was always the peak of inflation right before the economic crisis of 2008. It was an opportunity. I mean, I got in it through a friend of mine actually who was already working in the exchange. It was a bit exciting, and so after that, in 2012, I joined Alliance Trade. At that time, it was also called Euler Hermes, but then it was bought out by the Alliance Group, and so it rebranded to Alliance Trade. And today, it is the credit insurance arm for the Alliance Group. Okay. I think my experience was a little bit unique with those two employers, because I got to work one with big data, and two, even though both of them are in financial services, but they are very unique or very niche services, right? So one, there's a limited amount of stock exchanges anyways, even globally. But also for Alliance Trade, there is also only a handful of credit insurers globally, right? And particularly, let's say most of my experience, I got at Alliance Trade. And it was a very unique experience because, again, it's all about big data management, right?
Yes.
And this is what was interesting for me. I think I built that interest during the period I served with both employers, and I always was thinking, how we can work with large data to move it from unstructured data to structured data, and then manipulate the data to create information, and how to build solutions around that information. Yeah.
How, we've been around for some time, and fintech, if you ask me, fintech is a buzzword. That we've been working with a lot of fintech solutions, apps, brands, but you're a specialist in the space, and if I can ask you, how rapid is the evolution of technology, intake of technology in this space? Is it really rapid? How rapid is it, and how is it evolving right now?
Yeah, I think if we When we talk about technological evolutions, most of what we think are we focus on the aspect of programming, but before that we have to get to understand whether we can, as we discussed in the very beginning, a little earlier, that how we can take data that is not structured and to make it structured, and then we can convert this into information, and then we run it through a system, right? We have to have a proper operational architecture, let's say. We have to design it and design the flow of this data, and then we apply technology to so that we are having this process run seamlessly. Multiple dimensions in the evolution of technology that enabled let's say the possibility of having fintech solutions being built on pain points, right? That now we talk particularly in the financial industry. So what do I mean by that? It's not only getting to be able to wrap a logic around a system that we design, but we have to understand, for example, when you talk big data, we're talking about large databases, right? And as it becomes cheaper, you're able to save a large quantity of data, and you also need a large bandwidth. Right, and also there was developments for this over the years, even cheaper, and bandwidth today is much faster.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then of course we have what's relatively something very new, but the availability of AI. To be able to take this data and create logic out of it. So traditionally we try to create logic from historical information, but today AI can take a look at the end result and then make an estimation of what potential logic that they can apply to potentially make a prediction for this over the long run, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there has been a lot of advancements in the technological space, but most of the innovation, which I take a look at and I say it's really great, it's being able to understand how to create an architecture around the operational process for liquidity.
Sure. Sharif, I'm going to put you on a tough spot because I know you're a data guy. You're a big data guy, big data numbers and everything. But we, like from a brand perspective, we are an emotional. We feel that emotion sells more than the data itself. What do you agree with that?
Yes, I think
because if you look at brands like Apple, I mean, they have great products, great technology, but I think it's the emotion that's driving them to make billions of dollars every year.
I think, well, we talked about this, right? So when I was working with Element 8 to help develop this concept from a technical aspect, I really wasn't, I knew that branding is very important, but I mean, because we're not talking too much about specifics about how this platform is functioning. But it's a very complex solution, and for the market to be able to understand it, and it's addressing multiple pain points from multiple angles, and let's say multiple potential members, right? So from corporate lenders to corporate borrowers, to the banks and the financial services providers. Like how are you going to deliver the message? What is the solution, right? There's benefits for the corporate debtors, there's benefits for the corporate lenders, and how do you create this? You have to build the element of trust, and how do you deliver a message? And I got to learn, of course, brand positioning is actually really super key. And maybe it was also now, it become now as important to me as the technical solution that we are there, because we have to have a purpose.
Yes.
We have to set a purpose behind what we do, and for me, I'm not so, let's say, creative. And if you ask me what is it that you want to do with this solution, I say I want to lower the element, the incidence of fraud, to lower the credit risk assumption for financial institutions, and I want to be able to provide the tools for these different players to be able to understand how to manage credit risk, right? And this is from a very technical angle.
Exactly.
Okay, this is what I want to do.
Exactly, and this is what you told us when you first met us, and this is what you want to.
Yes. And I must also one of the most important elements, which again you can see that why it's important to plan this branding from the very beginning, to actually enable liquidity for debtors. And we were discussing, okay, maybe after we did our first session, I said, okay, fine, no, I need to focus on the debtors who are looking for financing. So we have to plan the brand, because on the other hand, like, it's easy to sell the concept of what we do for the lenders. You get access to information that's validated, it's timely, it's in depth, but what we need to do also is to get that trust element from the debtors. Say, hey, listen, we want you to share your information directly to your lender, and we're going to help you streamline this transaction, and you can get to see the benefits directly, right? So absolutely, I think the branding element is really important.
You look at a problem from all angles. You like to analyze it. You like to look at the data, the possibilities, and before you jump into anything. And that's what you told us over and over again, that you spend time, you sleep over it, you look at the data, numbers, you look at the feasibility. You do a lot of things before you actually get into something, and that is really important for you. But let's say you have an aspiring entrepreneur who wants to get into doing something that he loves to do.